There's nothing more indefinite, and at the same time more real, than that which we indicate when we speak of the higher. In our social life, we see it evidenced in a greater complexity of relations. But this complexity is not all. There is, at the same time, a contact with, an apprehension of, something more fundamental, more real. With the greater development of man, there comes a consciousness of something more than all the forms in which it shows itself. There is a readiness to give up all the visible and tangible for the sake of those principles and values, of which the visible and tangible are the representation. The physical life of civilized man and of a mere savage are practically the same. But the civilized man has discovered a depth in his existence, which makes him feel that that which appears all to the savage is a mere externality and a appurtenance to his true being. Now this higher, how shall we apprehend it? It is generally embraced by our religion's faculties, by our idealizing tendency. But the higher existence has two sides. It has a being as well as qualities. And in trying to realize it through our emotions, we are always taking the subjective view. Our attention is always fixed on what we feel, what we think. Is there any way of apprehending the higher after the purely objective method of a natural science? I think that there is. Since
The astral body is the counterpart of the physical. When it is withdrawn from the physical, it bears the exact likeness of the mortal, with all the distinguishing marks, moles, etc. it possessed at the time of transition. Those who have passed on into the astral are therefore as easily recognized and identified as they would be on earth. For, as we have said repeatedly, after leaving the physical body, there is little more change of appearance than there is in a mortal when he removes his overcoat. Except that when a physical limb or part is lost, the astral part will not be lost, unless so shown for purposes of identification. After passing on from a long and exhausting illness, and especially in the case of an old person who is tired of life and no longer clings to it by either thought or desire, it is common for such a one to pass into a deep and restful sleep, varying in duration according to the individual needs, previous ideas, etc. We know, of course, that thought and desire rule the physical world, but in the astral world they rule to a far greater degree and far more quickly, for the plastic matter of that world yields very rapidly to the creative and molding power of thought and will. Therefore, a person who for years held the thought that leaving the physical world ended all, or one who believed that he would sleep until Gabriel blew his trumpet, would naturally pass into a comatose or dense sleeping condition after passing on. This condition would perhaps last for years or even centuries, until the desire or thought force put into the idea was exhausted and he was released from its effects. All these types of sleepers float aimlessly in the astral world, swept hither and thither by astral currents which, much like the winds of earth, are continually flowing in various directions. For it must be remembered that in this realm we can see as well as feel these astral winds, and as the astral is the world of desire and sensation, we can here see that many of these winds are but the forces generated by man's restless and disquieting thoughts, which form mighty currents plainly seen to be made up of living elementals, tenuous forms even in this realm, yet passing in great streams and with a moaning cry, much as the wind moans on earth. Again, there can be seen mighty storm winds made up of the embodied evil and malignant thought forces generated by mankind, here seen entitized as demons of destruction sweeping on with tremendous power. Yet always there is blowing here a steady wind from the east, which is the force of blessing sent forth into all the world from the heart of the universe. This appears as made up of angelic beings who float on with faces radiant, unseeing and unheeding anything through which they pass, intent only on their mission, which is to carry the divine creative love forces and pour them out on all creation. The sleeping and floating forms are therefore in danger, as well as very much in the way, quite as much so as would one be on earth who lay down in a busy thoroughfare and went to sleep. Therefore, special attention is given to such, very much a special policeman would prevent a like occurrence on earth. There are those whose business it is to look after such souls and to convey them to specially prepared retreats where they are tenderly cared for and protected.
Hades ruled the realm every mortal eventually entered, which made him feared long before he became misunderstood. In ancient Greece, people avoided saying his true name directly, using titles like the Rich One. Instead, wealth came from beneath the earth, metals, fertile soil, hidden treasure, and the countless dead resting below. After the war against the Titans, the three brothers divided existence itself. Zeus received the sky, Poseidon claimed the oceans. Hades inherited the underworld, a kingdom built from shadows, rivers, judges of the dead, and souls stripped of mortal status. Unlike later portrayals, the underworld was not identical to hell. It was a vast realm containing multiple regions. The virtuous reached the Elysium. Ordinary souls wandered the asphodel meadows. The wicked faced punishment within Tartarus, where figures like Sisyphus and Tantalus endured eternal torment for crimes committed during life.
Hades himself rarely left his domain. He was not a wandering seducer like Zeus, nor a god driven by impulsive destruction. His rule centered on order. The dead entered his kingdom and remained there. Balance depended on it.
His most famous myth involves Persephone. Later retrines often soften and romanticize the story. Yet ancient sources describe an abduction arranged through divine agreement. Persephone's descent transformed her into queen of the dead, a figure who moved between worlds rather than remaining only a stolen maiden. Through her cycle of return, the Greeks explained the dying and rebirth of the earth itself.
Hades possessed symbols tied deeply to death and invisibility, accelerated unseen movement. Cerberus guarded his gates, so no soul escaped. Rivers like sticks and lead the divided memory, oath and passage between existence and oblivion. Ancient fear surrounded Hades, never came from below. He represented the single truth no living person could outrun. Everything eventually reaches his kingdom.
Hyoko doesn't give a damn about your cultural conditioning, your religious indoctrination, or your political brainwashing. Heyoka could give two blue shits about what you think is appropriate or politically correct. Heyoka will call itself whatever it feels like calling itself. Thunder Shaman, Disaster Shaman, Holy Idiot, Trick Doctor, Self-inflicted Philosopher, Death Mocker, Life Sucker, God Slayer, Booger Eater, whatever. Heyoka is just a word representing an energy. You're whiny, woe is me. Cries of cultural appropriation are crushed pebbles beneath its fleet-footed boot. Heyoka is here to flip your script and scribble all over what you think you know. Heyoka is here to turn your tables into a feast where you just can't kill the beast. Heyoka is here to transform your comfort zone into a self-overcoming, courage-based, expanding horizon rather than a self-limiting, fear-based, suffocating boundary.
When you need shelter, Heyoka will be the rain. When you need a parachute, Heyoka will be the fall. When your glass house needs a mirror, Heyoka will be the snow. When your glass house needs a mirror, Heyoka will be the snow.
You can have your personality pigeonholes, alpha and beta. Heyoka will go meta with omega and astonish you all.